Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks again for joining us for another week of The Breakdown here on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network. I'm your co-host, Max Friedman, Trademark MMA. I got my boy, Big Marcel, joining me today, co-host, MMA DNA, co-owner, all the way in the Netherlands. This guy does it all. He's got scoops. He's got the best social media account in the game. Big Marcel, Fight Week, UFC Nashville. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Pretty busy day today, honestly. So, yeah, I'm happy to do some breakdown with you right now. Let
Yeah, we always look forward to this show every week. Big Marcel, though, I got to get your thoughts before we get into the event coming up this weekend in Nashville. Big news today about UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw getting flagged for a possible USADA violation. He has voluntarily relinquished his title at 135 pounds. What's your take on all this?
Man, it's tough, man. I mean, it's basically when USADA comes out normally, what they don't do anymore. What the fighter has test positive for that, and then they're gonna doing research and testing a second sample and all that. But they haven't done that yet. But he got a 1 year suspension already. So I don't know what to think about it. But let's see what happens. You know, he relinquished the title, so the division can move on. But yeah, I wonder what's really the matter here. So, but we'll probably have to wait for a full USADA explanation in a few months, I think. But just really weird. But on the other hand, I saw many people tweet about it, and I agree. It opens up the not stupid champion versus champion fights. I really don't like it. So now we can see Henry fighting Benavidez or the winner of Davison against Formiga. And we can see Moraes, for example, fighting Munoz or Aljamain Sterling, Or they have to do Moraes against Cejudo, but both are managed by Ali Abdelaziz. So I don't see that happening, honestly.
Yeah, before we really jump to conclusions, I want to, have USADA do their due diligence, find out truly what it was. TJ Dillashaw never flagged for any kind of substance violation in the past. Many teammates have come out from his old teammates at Team Alpha Male, speculation, kind of putting some words here and there in the media. But regardless, he has a clean record up until now. That being said, I'm curious to see whether it truly was kind of on the steroid side of things or whether it was on the kind of the diuretic side of things, because we do know he did cut down to 125 pounds for the first time in his career to fight Henry Cejudo earlier this year in Brooklyn. Really looking forward to seeing how that shakes up. Like you said, some good good bantamweight matchups we could see. Marlon Moraes certainly comes to mind. Aljamain Sterling right at the top of the bill. Cody Garbrandt was just knocked out by Pedro Munoz. How do you not give Pedro Munoz a new opportunity? And don't forget, Dominic Cruz is still very much available. Who knows what his health's at these days? Sounds like a good time for a tournament. I know it never happened, but that would be something fun to see. And I'm with you. I'd like to see Henry Cejudo defend that 125-pound flyweight belt.
Dude, there's no denying Marlon Moraes a title shot right now. You can't. The guy knocked out Sterling. The guy knocked out Rivera. The guy knocked out Assunção. Or submit Assunção. I'm sorry.
Yeah, still finished him.
Yeah, he finished all those guys, and it was pretty decisively. So you can't say like he's not gonna get. He's definitely the guy who 100% should be in line for the bantamweight for the vacant title. But against who? That's a big question, I think, right here.
It'll be fun to see how that shakes out. But nonetheless, we're here to break down fights, and that's what we're going to do. This weekend coming up, UFC Fight Night 148, UFC on ESPN Plus 6. No, just kidding, Big Marcel. UFC Fight Night 148, UFC Nashville. Coming at you March 23rd, 2019 from the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. Big Marcel, I went to college at Vanderbilt University just down the road from Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. So I spent 4 years there, saw Jim Miller take on Melvin Gillard in the main event of a fight night, and Khabib Nurmagomedov's UFC debut there. Fun fact. Not that you asked for it, though.
No, but that was that the first FX or first Fuel card, right?
Fuel TV 1, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. And just as a reminder, you can follow the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever have you. We got some great shows on the network. MMA yesterday, looking at UFC events of years past. Fight Companions interviews, the Not Safe for Work MMA show, Kyle Steele, Fred Kirby, those guys are hysterical. They turn off the filter, so don't listen to that around your kids. And then our favorite, Around the Cage, MMA's version of Around the Horn. Got the great Davidson Baker, Fansided MMA, My MMA News, great friend of the show. He does a great job hosting. Both of us are reigning champions on that show. Not gonna take too much time to brag, but we both have won on that show before. No big deal. Maybe we'll go back and go head to head next time, Big Marcel.
That wouldn't be a good idea for you, but yeah, why not?
You want to catch the smoke, Big Marcel?
Yeah, anytime.
Well, nonetheless, let's get started. Coming at you, UFC Nashville this Saturday. The prelims will kick off at 5 p.m. Eastern time, which right now I believe that is 11 p.m. Eastern time in the Netherlands for you, Big Marcel, unless that this weekend is daylight savings. I can't remember.
It's 10.
Oh, 10. My bad. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We kick things off at 125 pounds. The flyweights putting on a showcase here. The number 12 ranked Eric Shelton taking on number 15 ranked Jordan Espinoza, making his UFC debut. Shelton a minus 135 favorite. The comeback on Espinoza, slight underdog, plus 105. Showtime Shelton, 12-5 overall, 2-3 in the UFC, but had things kind of shaken out on the judges' scorecards. He could be sitting at 4-1. Depends on who you ask. Moved his entire family down to American Top Team to train with the likes of guys like Alexandra Pantoja, Kyoji Horiguchi, just a world of talent down there. Espinoza making his UFC debut after 2 wins on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. Seems to be a fast starter, but we have seen him slow down. A late bloomer in his career. He has won 4 straight and unbeaten in 9 of 10. Big Marcel, how does this shake out?
Yeah, it's like you said, man. I think Eric Shelton is highly underrated in the UFC. Arguably, he lost 2 split decisions in his debut against Pantoja, and after that against Brooks. Arguably won those 2 fights. Only got pretty much dominated by Alex Perez, and two wins against Janelle Lausa and against Joseph Morales, which I think should have been unanimous. Jordan Espinoza, coming from the Contender Series twice, had also a fight at an Alliance MMA event against CJ Hamilton, which he won by split decision. Taking that all in the back of my mind, I have to go with Eric Shelton here. I think he's a raw talent. He has still a lot to learn, but he is learning and he's getting better every time I see him in the cage. So, yeah, I go for a showtime here by probably a unanimous decision win. And yeah, keep going in that flyweight division, I think.
Yeah, I love to see that the flyweights actually are getting fights booked still. I think you hit the nail on the head. Eric Shelton's a raw talent, man. He uses very high-level technique in his fights, something I noticed really early on in his fights on The Ultimate Fighter against Tim Elliott, against Yoni Sherbatov, really showcased a high level of skill, and he continues to grow. I think he weathers the early storm from Espinoza and grinds out a victory. Unanimous decision here. What do you think about Jordan Espinoza being ranked 15th without having fought in the UFC?
Yeah, man, it doesn't make sense. I mean, for example, if you gonna check, you can see from every single ranker what he or she has ranked, for the 14 panelists, and I think one ranker has Casey Kenny at 12. For example,
Casey Kenny?
Yeah,
he's not on the roster.
Yeah, exactly. It's just weird, man. I don't know, but I don't know what the UFC probably gives them a list. You have to, I don't know, have to put somewhere in the rankings, but maybe there are only like 15 or 16 to rank. I have no idea what the purpose of the flyweight division rankings is right now, because they're just cutting people and then they're putting people in. Even it's actually, if you're not in the flyweight ranking and you are flyweight, it's actually really weird. I think definitely William Paiva, who fought Kai Kara France, should be in the flyweight ranking, in my opinion.
Yeah,
even with an 0-1.
Really unclear what's going on with that division. You and I both are big advocates for keeping it around and letting those guys fight, but it seems like they're trying to phase it out. We'll see what happens.
It's just annoying, man. It's really annoying also for the fighters, because rankings do matter. We saw that in New York with Paul Felder not getting his title shot. Rankings do matter, and the UFC should be more, how do you say it? We should take this more serious, man. I mean, there are 14 panelists on there, and I think 70% of the panelists have no idea what they are doing, you know. And sorry, I just say that it's just the truth. You see some rankings, man. I mean, some guys have rankings like have a guy in the ranking who's popular with a 1-0 record or 2-0 record in the UFC. But for example, have guys like Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev, Gregor Gillespie. They have him not in the ranking. I know Gillespie is in the ranking now, but some guys don't have him even in the ranking, and that's weird to me, you know.
Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of uncertainties around those panel rankings, and the hardcores like you and I that pay attention to the sport day in and day out know truly what it should reflect and what should be said. Let's go ahead and move on. 135-pound matchup on deck. Chris Gutierrez taking on the debuting Ryan McDonald. Gutierrez back for his sophomore outing in the UFC after getting submitted by Raoni Barcelos in his debut. He's 12-3-1 overall. He has won 3 of 4. McDonald stepping in on short notice for the injured Martin Day. McDonald, a guy that's been on the UFC's radar for a long time, had to turn down an opportunity on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series last summer due to the death of his brother, I believe. The main event, his nickname, he's 10-0, 6 finishes. Not sure if he was in camp for this one. That's something to keep an eye on if the fight does go into the later rounds. And looking at Ryan McDonald's record, he does not appear to have faced anyone near the level of talent that he'll face against Chris Gutierrez. Just don't like the short notice call for him and Gutierrez coming out of Factory X, a camp riding a lot of momentum. I'm going to take Gutierrez by unanimous decision, but don't sleep on the 10-0 McDonald. Big Marcel, what do you got for me?
You broke it down exactly how it is, man. I mean, Chris Gutierrez is a solid fighter, is a legit fighter. Ryan McDonald hasn't fought the same competition, hasn't fought someone like Chris Gutierrez, and it's on short notice as well. 10-0 record, but it's going to be 10-1, I think, after Saturday. I have Chris Gutierrez probably by let's be nice to McDonald, a unanimous decision, but I can also see him finishing in the later rounds. So, yeah.
Fun fight to keep an eye on, nonetheless. All right, well, we go to 115 pounds for this next one. The number 15 ranked Randa Marcos taking on Angela Hill, Angie Overkill Hill, the slight favorite, minus 165. The comeback on the Quiet Storm, Marcos, plus 145. Big Marcel, take it away.
Yeah, Randa Marcos coming off that draw against Marina Rodriguez. Hasn't won since January of 2018, where she defeated Juliana Lima and also defeated Carla Esparza, which was kind of a very controversial decision right there. Just like lost against Alexa Grasso was also pretty controversial in my opinion. Angela Hill, pretty much she's solid, man. She has a split decision loss against Courtney Casey in the last outing, but if she can keep this fight to standing, I see her winning this one, and I think. It will be a close fight, like many of these women fights always. I see her winning a split decision right here against Randa Marcos. Yeah.
Yeah, Marcos, the inconsistency in her UFC career, albeit, some were controversial. Angela Hill training at Alliance. She's 1-3 in the UFC since returning from Invicta. Job could be on the line come Saturday. I could see Hill winning a decision. I'm going to take Marcos here. I think she steals it just with her aggression. Might be able to score a takedown or two, but really could see it going either way. Tough fight to call, but I'll go ahead and take the underdog, Randa Marcos, Quiet Storm. All right, well, we head up to flyweight, women's flyweight division for this next one. The number 5 ranked Alexis Davis, former bantamweight title challenger, taking on Jennifer Maia, the former Invicta champion at flyweight. Davis, a minus 165 favorite. The comeback on Maia, plus 145. Davis, 1-1 at flyweight. Wins over Liz Carmouche, albeit controversial, but a loss to Caitlin Chookagian. Jennifer Maia, 50-5 overall. Lost in her UFC debut to Liz Carmouche. No shame in that. Davis, always a tough out. Maia, definitely expect her to have a better showing in this one compared to her UFC debut. Big Marcel, you going with the UFC veteran or the former Invicta champ in this one?
This is a very awful match to break down, in my opinion. It's very hard because, yeah, Alexis Davis, you know her game. She's pretty tough on the feet, but she can wrestle as well, in my opinion. And Jennifer Maya has some problems with wrestlers all the time. In my that's from my view. She won against Modafferi and Agnieszka with the out thing is name. I can't pronounce that.
Needvich, right?
Nijvich. Okay, we'll keep it Nijvich. And then she lost against Liz Carmouche, which was pretty pretty. How do you say that? Not a great debut, underwhelming debut, I think, in the UFC, but against one of the toughest girls in the division, I think. I gotta go with Alexis Davis here, man. I think she will get a unanimous decision win here. I see her grinding Maya out on the ground.
Yeah, I'll take Davis as well. Split decision on this one. I like Alexis Davis always attacking on the ground. So I think if she's able to get this fight to the ground, she should have that advantage. But I expect a much better Maya in this one than we saw in her UFC debut. All right, moving along, we got a rebooked fight in the men's bantamweight division. Marlon Chito Vera taking on Frankie Saenz. Say what you want about Marlon Chito Vera, but he has drastically improved in the UFC and is coming off 2 wins where he really patiently waited and then swarmed on a finish. Saenz is 38 years old. He's 12-5 overall, 5-3 in the UFC, coming off back-to-back wins. But we broke this fight down when it was first it came around. And Big Marcel, you don't think he won either of those fights?
I got what the Frankie Saenz one.
Yeah.
Yoel, I say yes. Yoel is Dutch. Yes, I think he won against Henry Briones, definitely, but the Dvalishvili was really bad, in my opinion. I had the 30-27 for Marab. So, yeah, it's the same. I still have the same opinion about it as last time. I think Chito Vera will win this fight probably by a finish in the 2nd or 3rd round. So, not gonna talk too long about this one. Chito Vera, man.
One interesting thing I want to point out, Big Marcel.
Yeah.
When this fight closed for, what was it, UFC 233 in December? 235. And Marlon Vera was a minus 235 favorite. Now in this, the current odds right now have Marlon Vera sitting at only minus 155. Whereas Saenz now plus 135 underdog. Granted, Saenz was coming in on short notice on that last bout, but still kind of interesting to see that even though this fight was rebooked, the odds are swaying quite differently than how they closed prior.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's pretty odd indeed.
But anyway, I'm with you, Big Marcel. Marlon Vera, 2nd round TKO, finds a way to get it done.
Yeah.
The headliner on the ESPN Plus prelims in the featherweight division, we got Bobby Moffett taking on Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty. Mitchell back in the UFC after one of the most disturbing sounding injuries a man can suffer. We will spare the details for everyone on the broadcast here, but Mitchell 1-0 in the UFC, came from the Ultimate Fighter, earned that split call over Tyler Diamond in his UFC debut. Moffett, an MMA lab guy, hit both on the head. Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series and Dana White's Looking for a Fight hit both those shows. He's just missing the Ultimate Fighter for the trifecta there. 1-0 in the UFC, has that really nice submission win over Chaz Skelly. Controversial on the tap, whether he went out, whatever it may be. Nonetheless, it's a win for Moffett. To me, it seems like he's kind of finally figured things out. I know he had some trouble in his career. He lost to, I believe, Jaime Barcelos as well as Ton Lee. Big Marcel, do you got Thug Nasty or you got the Bobby Moffett, the Wolf?
Let's get this out of the way. Never talk about the injury of Bryce Mitchell again to me. Never. And so that was so awful. I saw his shorts, so I don't want to think about it anymore. Yeah, Bobby Moffett, I think he's a pretty solid guy, man. I mean, he was pretty decisive in the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, and he had some good fights as well in RFA and LFA. Chaz Kelly, that controversial win, which you brought up, indeed. Bryce Mitchell, Bryce Mitchell is a very young guy, and he still has a lot to learn. I think he got the majority decision over Tyler Diamond, which was kind of could have gone either way, in my opinion. He lost to Brad Katona in the semifinals of the Ultimate Fighter. I think Bryce Mitchell has a bright future, but I'm taking Bobby Moffett here, man. I think he will get the finish on the ground, probably by another Doris choke or a rear naked choke in the second round. That's my pick.
He does that Darce choke really well. Yeah, I like the way Moffat's putting it together right now. Mitchell is a well-rounded guy. He's got a bright future, but I like Moffat in this matchup. The -175 favorite on Moffat, the comeback on Mitchell +155. I'm going to take Moffat by a unanimous decision here. But, man, should be a really fun fight, and I'm glad those two got the headlining spot for the prelim headliner.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, we go to the main card here. Really interesting fight to open things up at 125 pounds on the women. Macy Barber, a -235 favorite against JJ Aldrich. The comeback on the underdog Aldrich is +195. Barber, 1-0 in the UFC, comes out of Factory X, absolutely dominant in her UFC debut against Hannah Cyphers. We also saw her win on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. JJ Aldrich showed a really solid run as of late. She's 7-2 overall, 3-1 in the UFC, winning 3 straight. She also trains in Colorado, although with a different team. She trains with Thug Rose Namajunas, the champion, at 115 pounds. Interesting to see her head up to 125 for this one, because I thought she was on the smaller side for 115 pounds. We saw her really out-muscled and outsized against Tatiana Suarez on The Ultimate Fighter. Big Marcel, do we have another run for the future Macy Barber, or is JJ Aldrich spoil the party on Saturday?
This is pretty much the girl with the most hype against the girl with the biggest, who's the most underestimated girl in the division, maybe. Everybody, and not everybody, but like 90% expected JJ Aldrich to lose against Poliana Viana, but she did the complete opposite. Macy Barber won against Hannah Cyphers. Short notice fight for Cyphers was that, because Macy was supposed to fight Maya Stevenson in her debut. Yeah, I can't go against Macy Barber here. I think this is a good fight for her. It will be tougher, much tougher, I think, than against Cyphers, but I'll see her winning a unanimous decision against JJ Aldrich.
Man, I've gone back and forth on this one. My first instinct was JJ Aldrich being able to really put it together, circle around. Then I kind of went back that Macy Barber is going to use that aggression and that just come forward and all action packed. And now I just don't know. Man, tough fight to call. All right, I'm gonna take Macy Barber with the decision as well, with the aggression. But man, I would not be surprised if Aldrich does exactly what she did to Poliana Viana, stayed on the outside, really landed her punches well. Same thing like you saw against Danielle Taylor. Really an improving fighter, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in the UFC.
Max, always go with your first thought, man. Always.
Should I do that?
Yeah, it's your choice. But
JJ Aldrich, you heard it here. Split decision.
You know why? Because if you're not gonna go with your first thought and you take your second thought, and then your first thought was the right one, you're like, why did I do that? And now you're just like, I stand with my thought. That's good.
All right, you know what? I'm doing it. Aldrich split decision, but hey, really close. I think it's a lot closer than that line suggests. That's for sure.
I agree, 100%.
All right, we go to 145 pounds on the men's side for this next one. Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena, -300 favorite against Stephen Ocho Peterson. The comeback on Peterson is +250. Really action-packed bout coming up here. Peterson 1-1 in the UFC, training out of the illustrious Fortis MMA. Not enough great things can be said about that team and Coach Saif Saud. A lot of folks very high on Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena, but stumbled in his last fight against Michael Trizano. Really did not impress a lot of folks. Now he's dropping down to 145 pounds. I mean, my initial reaction, I do not like that. Big Marcel, does Luis Pena even make 145 pounds for this fight? Are we actually even seeing this fight on Saturday?
I have no idea, man. I'm 6'3" myself, like him. So imagine me making 145 pounds. I probably have to lose 2 persons. But yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, but I agree with you, man. Bob Ross didn't look great in his last fight against Trizano. And man, I actually I was looking on Twitter and I saw Adam Martin picking Steven Peterson, and I said to him, I thought I was the only one, but I have Steven Peterson here, man, for the upset. I think Steven Peterson will decision violent Bob Ross and will take the W here. I really feel that.
I'm right there with you. First of all,
Thanks.
I can't bet against anyone at Fortis right now. Just the way they put things together. They Save Stode has his fighters ready. There's a load of talent at around that weight class. He's got both Fernie Garcia and Austin Lingo competing this weekend at LFA. And what'd you say?
Ramis is also on it.
Yeah, Ramiz Brahimai too. He's a little heavier, 170 pounds, but still,
Yeah.
Guys, around that weight class competing. I just really like the way Ocho put it together in his last fight against Matt Bissett. Tough as they come. He's not gonna have to worry about a weight cut. Whereas Luis Pena, I'm not even convinced he's gonna make 145 pounds. I got Peterson all day in this one. But man, that's funny. I thought for sure you'd be going on the other side of things. All right, well, we got a really close barn burner in this next bout at 125 pounds. The number 1 ranked flyweight, Jussier Formiga, a plus 135 underdog against number 4 ranked Davidson Figueiredo, the minus 155 favorite. Big Marcel, battle of Brazilian flyweights. What's going to happen?
That line is crazy, in my opinion, but okay. Jussier Formiga, yeah, veteran. Great fighter, but not I think he's 31 or 32, man. He still has a lot to go in his fights. He had always had the bad luck that he had to fight a real number 1 contender fight before he had to fight for a title. So he never fought for the title. He had to fight Benavidez. He had to fight, I think, Dodson, Cejudo, and he lost those all. So, but he's probably the best flyweight who never got a title shot so far. Davidson Figueiredo, great talent, very impressive in most of his fights, but he shouldn't be undefeated, man. He lost to Jared Brooks, in my opinion, pretty clearly. But yeah, and if you take that, for example, Jared Brooks is a very good wrestler and he's very good on the ground. Jussier Formiga is even better on the ground. He's more of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, but if he can control Davison on the ground, man, Davison is in for a rough night. And I actually hate this fight for the simple reason that Jussier Formiga deserves a title shot for a long time, and I don't want to see Davidson Figueiredo's momentum getting cracked right now because he's one of the bigger talents in the flyweight division right now. So one has to lose, and I think Davidson is going to lose this one by unanimous decision against Jussier Formiga.
What else can be said about Formiga? The guy is a bona fide top 5 talent in the world at 125 pounds. And since that 2013 loss to Joseph Benavidez, he has gone 7-2, with both of those losses being very controversial, if you're asking me. Ray Borg and against the current champion, Henry Cejudo, which arguably he could have won both of those. He has won 3 straight, trains at Novo União, absolute stud. I mean, the guy is incredibly technical, both on the feet and on the ground. We've seen him get finishes both ways. I mean, Figueiredo, he is 4-0 in the UFC, and his most impressive win was last time out against John Moraga. He finished him. He's finished back-to-back opponents, but this is another level. And to me, this line should be completely opposite. And if not, I think it should be a bigger line, bigger favorite for Jussier Formiga. I'm on Formiga all day in this one. I think he gets a submission here. But Figueiredo, a guy that everyone's high on. They think he's going to be the next one to get that title shot, especially after a win. But I don't see him getting past Formiga at all.
And you thought I was going to pick Davison or not?
No, I didn't.
No,
I thought
okay. Because you were laughing when I said the odds should be
because you're saying everything I'm thinking. That's why.
Okay, that's awesome.
All right, well, we move forward here, a 155-pound matchup, and this is one of those situations that happens ever so often where 2 fighters who are on the same card have different opponents end up getting matched up because both their opponents pull out. So John McDessie, originally slated to face Nazareth Hakparat, taking on Jesus Pinedo, originally set up against Chris Grutzmacher. McDessie, a minus 325 favorite against the Peruvian Pinedo, who is a plus 275 underdog. Pinedo, he's 16-4-1. He has won 7 straight, still only 22 years old, and part of that ever-growing talent pool coming out of Peru. 1-0 in the UFC, a victory over Devin Powell. Very tough draw in his second appearance, though. McDessie, 16-6. 9-6 in the UFC, coming off back-to-back wins, and seems to have figured things out a little bit better ever since joining Rufus Sport. Big Marcel, big line here for Makdessi. Does he get it done, or is there any chance of an upset?
Yeah, man, he gets it done. I think John Makdessi is compared to Pinedo, he's a veteran, man, and he fought pretty good competition, and Pinedo hasn't done that at all so far. Maybe has like he won against Devin Powell, but I don't see him winning against Makdessi, man. I think that this is a very bad matchup for him. I think also the Grismacher was a very bad one actually, but this is probably not even worse because Makdessi has so much tools to win this fight, and I see Makdessi finishing him in the second round, probably by some kind of crazy knockout. I think it will be a punch, one punch knockout. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Makdessi getting a finish in this one. This matchup kind of reminds me of when he took on Shane Campbell a few years ago. I got Makdessi getting a finish in the second round as well. Man, we're on the same wavelength today, Big Marcel. We got 2 fights left, and I think we only have one. Oh, we have 2 differences on the card thus far.
Great.
All right. Co-main event time, heavyweight action. Curtis Razor Blades, number 4 ranked heavyweight, taking on the number 10 ranked Justin Willis. Big Pretty. Blades, a sizable minus 275 favorite. The comeback on Willis is plus 235. Team Elevation's Curtis Blades really seemed to be making that run toward the top, towards a title shot, until he ran into Francis Ngannou last November in China. That really seemed to put a halt to his momentum. But prior to that, he had rattled off 6 straight wins. Now, Justin Willis, 8-1 overall. He's won 8 straight. He's 4-0 in the UFC, and he's coming off that very clear decision victory over Mark Hunt. Got to expect a big dose of wrestling anytime Blade steps in there. Justin Willis, meanwhile, we know, very patient, more of a striker. He has that power to finish, but he's going to have to stay off his back in this one. Big Marcel, break it down for us.
Yeah, Justin Willis, he has looked pretty good so far in the UFC, but I think Curtis Blades is a little bit a level above him right now. And I think Curtis Blades, he got caught in this last fight, and it can happen, you know. It's unfortunate for him. He has 2 losses against Francis Ngannou, so he better hopes Ngannou doesn't get a title anytime soon, you know, in the heavyweight division, because then it will be very hard for Blades to get another shot at Ngannou. But yeah, man, Blades 100%. I think probably he TKOs him in the first round. I see it happening by ground and pound. Ooh. I think Blades is so focused to get this win back. He was at the top of the division, and he is still there, man, but he lost some momentum because of the Ngannou fight, but he's going to take it back on Saturday.
Yeah, you got to think he's hungry to get back in there, because that was in November in China.
By the way, huge opportunity for Justin Willis to get in the top of the division if he wins this one. So, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, Willis, you got to expect that he'll at least have some sort of wrestling defense in his camp. Coming from AKA, Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, don't know what, you know, their level of activity is these days, given their recent fights and whatnot. But Curtis Blades just seems to be on a better level, like you said. I can see him getting Willis down, getting on top, pounding him out. I'll go TKO in the 3rd round, but man, you said it though. Big opportunity for Justin Willis to jump up the ladder here if he's able to finish Curtis Blades in this one. Main event time. We got a fight at 170 pounds. I didn't even write down Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's ranking. I believe he's number 5 at 170 pounds right now. He takes on the number 8 ranked lightweight Anthony Showtime Pettis. Right now, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, a huge minus 460 favorite in this one. The comeback on Pettis is plus 365. Man, it's weird to see Pettis go up for this one, to go up to 170 pounds, but I've heard him in multiple interviews kind of say that he wants fights that get him excited, and this stylistic matchup was one. He is 3-3 in his last 6. He's coming off that war with Tony Ferguson last October. Bit of a layoff for Wonderboy, 10 months on the shelf. That loss to Darren Till, controversial one. Prior to that, he had beaten George Masvidal. See how good that looks now. But prior to that, he had the back-to-back fights with Tyron Woodley. This main event, man, I think it could be fantastic or it could be a snoozer. Kind of leaning toward the latter, but Big Marcel, is this have fight of the night potential? And if so, what's gonna happen in this one?
No, man, Wonder Boy is technically so good that he's boring. That's basically to break it down, and that sucks because he's really good. He's technical. He has a great stance, and for he's a karate guy, but he's a great stance for an MMA as well. Um, I don't see Pettis closing the distance. I don't see Pettis doing anything he can against Thompson. I don't understand this matchup at all, to be honest. It's fun for the public, but because you get the flashy lightweight who's going to welterweight to fight the striking boy, the Wonder Boy, that's fun headlines, but in fact the fight, I don't see anything spectacular happen. I think Stephen Thompson probably keeps it technical and wins a unanimous decision after 5 rounds. I don't see anything else happening. Maybe I'm ignorant, but that's how I see it.
I don't either. And the great James Lynch was talking about that today. I think it's mostly the real opportunity here is either the fight goes the distance or Wonder Boy to win by a decision. I don't really see any finishes happening in this one, and I don't see really any other way unless Wonder Boy is able to catch him kind of with one of those big straight right hands that we saw him catch Robert Whittaker with back in the day, in Patrick Cote. All right, well, let's recap the picks real quick before we get rolling. Starting off in the flyweight division, both Marcel and I got Eric Shelton. At 135 pounds, we have Chris Gutierrez getting it done over the newcomer McDonald. I am taking Randa Marcos to get it done over Angela Hill. Big Marcel has Angie Overkill Hill there. We are both picking Alexis Davis to beat Jennifer Maia. We are both picking Bobby Moffitt to win in the headliner on the prelims against Bryce Mitchell. We got a split between the women's flyweights. He's taking Macy Barber, the future. I'm taking JJ Aldrich. We got both taking the underdog Steven Peterson out of Fortis MMA to get it done against Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena. We are taking another underdog in Jussier Formiga against Davison Figueiredo. Both have John McDessie getting it done against Jesus Pinedo. Both have Curtis Blades in the co-main event to beat Justin Willis, and both have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the main event over Anthony Pettis. Big Marcel, who is your underdog pick for the evening?
Ocho, Steven Peterson, obviously.
That's a good one. I think we pretty much had two options here, and I'm going to go with Jussier Formiga. I think he gets it done against Davison Figueiredo there. All right, lock of the night. My lock of the night is going to Marlon Chito Vera, who I forgot to read off on our list here, but we both have him to get it done against Frankie Saenz.
Lock of the night, John McDessie.
All right. Back to you, Big Marcel. Who are the performance of the night winners?
Performance of the night winners, we're going with Curtis Razor Blades and Jussier Formiga.
All right. I'm going to go with Curtis Blades and John McDessie on these. And fight of the night, I am going to go with the flyweight bout between Formiga and Davison Figueiredo. Who do you have for the fight of the night?
Fuck Nasty against Bobby Moffitt.
Ooh, good choice. Okay. So just to recap, lock of the night, I got Marlon Chito Vera. My illustrious co-host has John McDessie. Underdog pick of the evening, I'm going with Jussier Formiga to get it done against Davison Figueiredo. That is also my pick for fight of the night. Big Marcel's taking Fortis MMA Steven Peterson as his underdog pick. Big plus 285 underdog there. Fight of the night, he's got Bobby Moffitt and Bryce Mitchell. And performance of the night bonuses, he has Curtis Blades and Jussier Formiga. I have Curtis Blades and John McDessie. Big Marcel, we got so caught up in the TJ Dillashaw news earlier this afternoon. I forgot to read off the results from last week. in the European circuit, back on top. Finally get a win after 3 straight losing weeks. I took it home with a 7-5 record on the card. Big Marcel had the 5-7 split. And get this, Marcel, we are all knotted up at 59-41 on the year. You do have 7 bonus picks correct. I only have 4, and you do have 3 underdog picks correct. I only have 2. So you are technically leading the way, but overall record, we're knotted up here.
Yeah, man. I like it. It's good. It's all good. I told you I suck at the European cards, so I expected to be much worse. I was at a local event in Belgium, and I saw the outcomes, like the prelims, and it was like 1-5 in the prelims. I'm like, oh god, my god, this is gonna be sucking so hard. And then I saw the main card. It's like, oh, it's going good, it's going good. And then I saw the co-main event. I was like, oh, it's going bad. And then I had to refresh all the time. I have like 6% battery left. So I was like, so sure. And then I was like, oh my god, knockout. It's like, who got knocked out? It's gonna refresh, you know.
I saw your tweet. You know, you said, I guess I did miss something.
Yeah, definitely. You can say that.
Before we wrap up tonight, what were your thoughts on the backstage altercation between George Masvidal and Leon Edwards?
I don't like that shit, man. I never like that because I think it's stupid. But I don't know what Leon Edwards said to him, so it's hard for me to judge about it. But yeah, I don't like it at all. Not before the fight, not after the fight, and definitely not when it's not needed, in my opinion. But many people liked it for some reason, I guess. So yeah, it was spectacular, but it's not good, I think.
Something to talk about, but Big Marcel, I'm with you, man. George Masvidal, Jorge Masvidal, Gamebred, you know, has this kind of cult following because, you know, he used to fight on the streets as part of the, you know, Kimbo Slice circuit back in the day. Kind of has that, you know, street thug personality. But in his post-fight interview, it was all about his family, all about saving money for his child's college fund. Man, I thought he'd really turned a corner, and then he kind of goes off and takes a swing at Leon Edwards. You know, who knows what was truly said, but man, it kind of took away from his win, I thought, or at least the kind of the character that he was putting on.
No,
but nonetheless, we move on. It's UFC Nashville this weekend. Big Marcel, any final closing thoughts, feedback, anything before we get out of here?
Enjoy the fights, guys. That's all I can say. And
you gonna be staying up late for this one?
I don't have to stay up late. It's over at 4 a.m. I think over here, so that's okay.
4 a.m. That's not late. That's in the middle of the night, Big Marcel.
That's normal. I normally go to bed around 4 a.m. So that's okay.
We got the night owl, Marcel Dorff, over there.
Ah, you got me a nickname. Nice.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Trademark MMA. My content is at the Body Lock and Cage Side Press. Big Marcel, let the people know where they can find and follow you.
MMADNA.nl website, also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and my personal account, Big Marcel24, on Instagram and Twitter. And Max, thanks as always, man. Trademark MMA to the top. Let's go.
Always excited. Big Marcel, new Twitter picture. I like it.
Yeah, you like it?
I do. It takes some getting used to, though, because I'm so used to seeing the very close-up of your head as your main picture, and now it's like I see the picture sometimes, and I forget that's you.
I had that last time with, I don't know who that was. I think it was with Drake Ricks. He also changed his Twitter picture, and I was talking to him and with DM, and then I was scrolling. I was like, I talked to him a month ago. Where is he? It's just a different picture, you know.
Couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Remind everybody to follow the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you click subscribe, leave us a rating, whatever you like to do. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in for another episode of The Breakdown. We will be back next week to talk UFC Philadelphia. Enjoy the fights, everyone.